Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. Today we will be sharing with you our second video lecture on the subject engineering drawing, which is required in both B.Tech and diploma level. So let's get started with the second part of our first topic, that is lines and dimensioning. If you haven't watched the first part yet, I have linked the video above. Do not forget to check it out. Okay, let us start the second part of this lines and dimensioning. Now here the first part is your placing of dimensions. Dimension bilag ami kenake place kori. Now for this we have mainly two systems of placing dimensions. So number one is your align system and second to ami kom ki the unidirectional system. Now আমি এটা এটাকে চাম ফার্স্ট আই উইল টেক দ্য এলাইন সিস্টেম তার পিছত আমি ইউনিডাইরেকশনাল সিস্টেম লৈ আহিম নাও when we see the align system to চোৱা কি দিয়া আছে in the align system the dimensions are placed perpendicular to the dimension line in such a way that it may be read from the bottom edge or the right hand edge of the drawing sheet. First condition is what? The dimension is placed perpendicular to the dimension line. This is your first condition. Jitia ami dekha pao, this is your dimension line. This is the dimension line. And these are your dimension figures. So dimension figure bilag ami jitia diu, then this dimension figure should be perpendicular to the dimension line. So dimension line jodi e2 hoy, this is your dimension figure and this is perpendicular. You can see here this is perpendicular to the dimension line. Now amar yate ase dimension line too. So here the figures are placed in such a way that now again the figures are perpendicular to the dimension line. So in each and every case, so प्रत्येकटा केसर करने हमें पालू की जो डायमेंशन लाइन है हम लोग का डायमेंशन फिगर उसमें ऑलवेज परपेंडिकुलर हो रहा है. So that is your first condition. Now see the second condition. It may be read from the bottom edge. तो जब भी हम डायमेंशनिंग करेंगे according to this align system, तब क्या होगा? उसको the dimension figure को ऐसे place करना है so that we can read from the bottom edge. तलर पर जाते हमें easily पढ़िबो पारो dimension figure बिला. Clear? Third condition, right hand edge of the drawing sheet. That means when we draw the or when we place the dimension figures, this is from your right hand side of the drawing sheet and ইয়াৰ পৰা যেতিয়া আমি পঢ়ো then it can be easily read or the dimensions can be easily read from the figure. So these are the three conditions for the align system. First is that the dimensions should be perpendicular to the dimension line. Dimension jiman ami diu sob bilak dimension amar ki hobo lagibo dimension line or logot it should be always perpendicular. Second condition is jitia ami dimension bilak diu ami easily jate read koribo paru from the bottom side or from the bottom edge. Third condition is what? When we place the dimension, then it should be such that it can be easily readable from the right hand edge of the drawing sheet. That means ei falor pra ami easily poribo paribo lagibo. So these are the three conditions of the align system. Next you see the dimension should be placed near the middle and above but clear of the dimension lines. So in each and every case, ami dekha palo ki the dimension figure and the dimension lines are not touching one another. Amar yate eta gap eta ase. So this gap is between 1 mm to 2 mm. And the dimension figure should not touch the dimension line. Second thing is that jitia ami dimension figure to place kuru, the dimension figure should be placed preferably or always placed at the middle of the dimension line. Hoday dimension line ganor midpoint othe ami dimension figure to place koribo lagibo. तो हम लोग यहाँ पे देखेंगे या यहाँ पे देखेंगे every time what is happening जो हम लोग का डायमेंशन लाइन है उस डायमेंशन लाइन के बीच में हम लोग का डायमेंशन फिगर बैठा है. और डायमेंशन फिगर और डायमेंशन लाइन के बीच में हम लोग को एक गैप रखना है. दैट गैप शुड बी बिटवीन 1 mm to 2 mm. So this is all about the align system. यहाँ पे भी हम लोग का, if this is your circle, so the diameter of the circle is given to be 80 units. Clear? So this is all about the align system. Now let us move to the unidirectional system. तो unidirectional system में क्या हो रहा है? In the unidirectional system, all the dimensions are so placed that they can be read from the bottom edge of the drawing sheet. So ইয়াতে condition to কি? আমি always dimension বিলাক এনেকে place কৰিব লাগিব so that we can read the dimensions from the bottom of the drawing sheet. তলৰ পৰা যাতে আমি easily পঢ়িব পাৰো dimension বিলাক. Second is that the dimension lines are broken near the middle for inserting the dimensions. So আগৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত কি আছিলে, in case of your align system, you can see here the dimensions are all continuous. There is no break lines in between the dimension lines. কিন্তু ইয়াতে আমি কি পালো, in case of unidirectional, we have a break in the middle of the dimension line. So in the middle, when we have a break, a break to ki hobo lagibo, you have to place the dimension figure. Plus agor to ki asile, the dimension figures and dimension lines are perpendicular to one another. Kintu yate ki hoy ase, we do not have that condition. First condition to amar nai yate. Yate ki okol dimension figures bilak ami enake place koribo lagibo so that ami easily dimensions bilak poribo paru when we see from the bottom edge. And for all the dimension lines, there is a break in the middle. Clear? Now, this system is mainly used on large drawings, such as aircrafts or automobiles, where it is inconvenient to read the dimensions from the right-hand side. So, a unidirectional system to amar ki hoise, this unidirectional system is mainly used when we have large drawings. Jodi amar dangor drawing thake like your aircrafts, automobiles, there we cannot place the align system, because align system jodi ami place koru, then the dimension to porhat amar bahut problem hobo. So it is not convenient, you can say, or it is inconvenient to read the dimensions. So hekarne, when we are to draw the very large drawings like your aircrafts or automobiles, then we have to follow this unidirectional system. But in case of your engineering drawing or engineering graphics, the best method to follow the dimension is the align system of dimensioning. Now next we have the unit of dimensioning. Now as far as possible, all dimensions should be given in millimeters. So jiman paru ami dimensions bilak ami millimeter dibo lage. Even when it is not convenient to give the dimensions in millimeters and another unit is used. So but only the dimension figures are written. That means jodi ami millimeter dibo noaru, suppose we have a big units of around, suppose 1 meter dia ase amar. So 1 meter jodi ami millimeter korbo lage, it should be around 1000 mm. So ami ki korim 1000 mm nilikhi pelai, we convert this into, or we write it as 100. We never give this mm or centimeter in the dimension figure. So here you can see, here you can see you have only the dimension figures are there, no mm or no centimeter is given there. So ami ki likhbo lage, but a footnote such as all dimensions are in centimeter, or jodi amar millimeter thake ami likhim ki all dimensions are in mm. So this is inserted in a prominent place near the title block. And the height of the dimension figures, height of the dimension figure means all these dimension figures. This height of the dimension figures ranges from 3 mm to 5 mm. So 3 mm or 5 mm or bhitorot, you have to write the dimension figures. And suppose this is your chart paper, this is the boundary of the chart paper, and this is the figure that you have drawn. You can see here these figures do not contain the unit to amar likha nai. यूनिट हम लोग का लिखा नहीं रहता है। प्लस ये जो डायमेंशन फिगर है, इस डायमेंशन फिगर का हाइट 3 mm to 5 mm के बीच में होना है। एंड फाइनली एट द लास्ट, इफ दिस इज योर टाइटल बॉक्स के ऊपर यू हैव टू राइट ऑल डायमेंशंस आर इन mm. If these are given in millimeters, then you have to write all dimensions are in mm. যদি আমার সেন্টিমিটার দেয়া আছে, then you have to write all dimensions are in centimeter. So this is all about the unit of dimensioning. Next we will move on to the rules for dimensioning. Now see here, every dimension must be given, but none should be given more than once. That means ami dimension, suppose this is your figure, etu jodi amar eta figure eta ache, and suppose this part is having suppose this is your 20, this is your 30. So yate jeta 20 aru 30 dia thake, now it is meaningless to give this overall dimension equal to 50. etu ami dibo na lage. So every dimension must be given, but none should be given more than once. Etu diar lage lage ki hobo, it will be a repetition of this part. So if this 50 is not required, we can provide this and this. Or in some cases, if this 30 is not given, then we can provide this 50 or this 20 and this 50 mm as the dimension. This part can be easily found out with the help of computation. Then mutual crossing of the dimension lines and dimensioning between hidden lines should be avoided. Dimension line should not cross any other line of the drawing. Jete ami dimension line diu, dimension line e kono beleg line or logot intersect korbo nware. So yeah, this is very very important. Dimension line kisi ke sath intersect nahi hoga. Plus if we have hidden lines, like these are the two holes which are present, इस होल को रिप्रेजेंट किया है with the help of this hidden lines. तो यहाँ पे हम लोग इस होल का डायमेंशन कितना है वो हम लोग नहीं लिखेंगे, because the dimensions between the hidden lines should be avoided. उसको नहीं देना है, बल्कि you have to give the diameter of the holes by giving a leader line. एक leader line देके यहाँ पे हम लोग को लिखना है that what is the dimension of this hole. Then an outline or a center line should never be used as a dimension line. अगर outline है तो उस outline में हम लोग को dimension line use नहीं करना है. Like this is your outline, so you cannot write here this is equal to 96. This is not correct. Rather you have to give a dimension line plus the extension line, then only you can provide the dimension figure. A center line may be extended in some cases to serve as a extension line. तो कभी कभी हम लोग क्या करेंगे, center line को extend करके that center line can be used as the extension line. Like if you are to represent up to this, तो इसको हम लोग थोड़ा सा extend कर देंगे and up to this we can provide the dimension. Then the aligned system of dimensioning is recommended, which has already been told. Next, dimension lines should be drawn at least 8 mm away from the outline and from each other. So this is your dimension line and this is the outline. ये हम लोग का outline है, इटू हमारा outline है. So outline और dimension line, this is our dimension line. So outline or dimension line mazot you have to leave a gap, and that is equal to 8 mm. 8 mm distance amar eri pelai, you have to provide the dimension line. Again, between one dimension, this is one dimension line, this is another dimension line. So ei duta dimension line or mazoto, the distance is equal to 8 mm. Then the dimensions in a series may be placed in any one of the following two ways. Ami dui dhoronoke dibo paru. The first is the continuous or chain dimensioning. So dimensions are arranged in a straight line. So you can see here all the dimensions are arranged in a straight line. And overall dimension is placed outside the smaller dimension. Jodi amar smaller dimension thake, smaller dimension to always ami ki korbo lagibo. These smaller dimensions are given close to the outline or close to the figure. Jimane amar dangor dimension ahe, that should be placed away from the figure. And one of the smaller dimensions, which is of least important, like eikhini part, this is of least importance. So a part kini ami omit kori pelai, you can provide the overall dimension of around 60. So a dimension kini kiman ase, we can easily calculate by finding the 60 minus of 16 plus 20 plus 10 korar loge loge, it will give the dimension of this part. So this is your continuous or chain dimensioning. So continuous or chain dimensioning, or the dimension lines are arranged in a straight line. Now the second is your progressive or parallel dimensioning. So progressive or parallel dimensioning to ki all dimensions are shown from a common baseline. So this is your common baseline. I mean, common baseline akim. Akar pisot all the dimensions are given from this common baseline only. And the cumulative errors is avoided by this method. This method is more preferable than the previous continuous or chain dimensioning. So ami ei2 koratke ami the best preferable method is your progressive or parallel dimensioning. So parallel dimensioning or ki korim, first of all you have to draw a baseline or a then from that baseline ami you have to provide the dimension, and you should take into account that smaller dimension should be placed nearer the view, that means nearer the object. Jimane amar object to usor thakibo, the smaller dimensions will be there. Jimane ami durole goi thakim, the dimensions will be far away from the object. Then extension lines may cross each other. Jodi ami e2 follow nokoru, suppose we are placing the dimension, the bigger dimension first and smaller dimension ei juntu dia ase ei dimension to ami suppose pisot use korim. So titia ki hobo, this is your extension line, and you can extend the extension line, and then after leaving a distance of 8 mm, then you have to provide the dimension line. So dimension line diar loge loge you have the intersection point here. So this is not followed, this is avoided. Kenake ami avoid koribo parim? The first is that jimane amar usoro dimension thake, foru dimension thake, that you have to place nearer to the object. Jimane dangor dimension hobo, that should be placed far away from the object. Hekarone this is first, then we have 48, and then finally we have 60. So this is the largest, so these are always placed away from the dimension line. And you have to take care that between the various dimension lines the distance is given to be 8 mm, a2 8 mm, next to hobo 8 mm, and then between this and this is also 8 mm. Now in some cases the extension lines may cross each other, like a2 case. This is the case where the dimension or the extension line may cross one another. Clear? But the extension line and the dimension line should not cross one another. Extension line is the dimension line of nakate, that you have to take into account, but one extension line can intersect the other extension line. So that is all about your rules for dimensioning. Let us move to the other rules. Now see here, the arrowheads should originally or ordinarily be drawn within the limits of the dimension figure. So jodi amar dimension figure to diya thake, suppose this is your dimension figure, we have a box here, suppose this is the box, and the dimension of the box is, or the length of the box is given to be 25. So here we have the space available to write the dimension figure. So jodi amar space thake, then we can provide the dimension line here and provide the dimension figure on top of the dimension line following the align system. But if the space is too narrow, jodi amar space to bahut kom thake, like this, eitu kesot, here if we provide the arrowhead should be in the ratio of 3:1. This is your arrowhead. So titia amar ki hobo, then the dimension figure may sometimes be difficult to place on top of the dimension line. So titia, in those cases, what we can do, we can provide the arrowhead outside the, or the arrowhead can be placed outside. Now in some cases it is not at all possible to provide the dimension figure also, like this cases where the space is very less, space to ekdome kom. So in those cases the dimension figures are placed above the extended portion of the dimension line, but it is preferred to be placed on the right hand side. So it will always on the right hand side or ami likhibo lage. If the size is very, or if the space is very less to provide the dimension figure, that on top of the dimension line you have to place the figure, and this dimension line or this dimension figure should always be placed on the right hand side of the dimension line. Clear? Now we have the last, this is your for various methods of dimensioning different sizes of circles. So these are the various methods of dimensioning for different sizes of circles. Jodi amar dangor circle thake, then this can be placed inside the inside this figure. Jodi amar if the circle is of small size, then we can provide the arrows within the dimension or within the object, and finally the dimension figure is placed outside. And if the figure is still smaller, then what is done, the arrowhead is placed outside the dimension or outside the figure or outside the object, and the dimension figures are placed here like this. So these are the various rules that is used for dimensioning the different sizes of circles. Belak circles jodi ami use koru, then depending on the size of the circle you have to place the dimension. Jodi amar circle to beshi dangor hoy, then we can easily place the dimension figure inside the circle. Jodi amar okoman horu hoy, then what we can do, we can only provide the two arrowheads on both the side and then place the dimension outside the dimension figure. Then if your figure is aru horu, if the figure is still smaller than, or if the figure is very small, which is not possible to place the arrowhead also, then in those cases arrowhead to bahir phale di pelai you can place the dimension figure here. Now while we place the dimension for your circles, it is always recommended to give the diameter preceded by the symbol phi. So first phi 24 means the diameter of this circle. The diameter of this circle is 24. So it is always recommended In case of circles, you have to use this 5. Plus, the dimension of a cylinder should not be given as a radius. So, amar jodi eta cylinder thake, suppose this is your cylinder, then also you have to place the, or you have to provide the diameter of this, not the radius. Now the radius is placed if we have arcs of circle. So arcs of circle should be dimensioned by their respective radii. Is it clear? So here you can see here, this is one arc, this is another arc, this is another arc. So these are all the arcs. So when we have arcs, then we are to give the, or we are to represent this with the help of the radius. If we have circle or cylinder, then go for this diameter, and this diameter is represented by the symbol phi, and the radius is represented by the symbol r. So this is all about the rules for dimensioning. In my next video, we will start a new topic of this engineering drawing. So thanks for watching. Do check out our other videos on the channel. If you have any query, you can write to us at the email address given in the description box. Do follow us on our Facebook page. Do not forget to hit the like, share and subscribe buttons. Also click on the bell icon to never miss an update from our channel.